A crew of pro thieves just grabbed the cash and were about to clear out.
I never even had to pull my gun.
Parker, bringing up the rear, reacted fast. Watching his crew drop one by one, he realized this was a double cross. As the freshly stolen $500,000 was taken, Parker didn't hesitate. He went after them. The guy panicked, floored it, and realized Parker was glued to his tail. In a blind panic, he barreled straight into a racetrack in the middle of a live race. The spooked horses scattered, horses crashed into the vehicle, and the car slammed hard into the rail. Out of options, the guy pulled a gun and stepped out, ready to go down swinging. The guy dropped on the spot. Parker grabbed the bag of cash back, tossed the woman in the car, 10 grand, and coldly told her not to call the cops. Moments later, his crew showed up for pickup, and they disappeared with the money. Back at the safe house, they sat down to figure out how to split the take. But Zen, the only woman on the crew, didn't join in. She stepped aside and casually dropped her bag on the floor.
I got dibs on shower.
Hot word
Whoa,
with me then.
Zen! Hey!
Parker, fresh out of the shower, walked in just as Zen started undressing, a puzzled look on his face. The next second, before they could even process what was happening, Zen gunned them down one by one.
Bitch!
Por el bien mayor.
Parker snatched a gun off the table and dove out the window, but a round still ripped into his side. He stumbled outside, gritted through the pain, and grabbed his gun, ready to fight to the death. Then another bullet hit him. Parker lost his balance and fell backward into the raging river behind him. 2 days later, Parker woke up in a roadside motel. The owner had already patched up his wounds. This place was the only refuge he had left. Thinking about the crew Zen killed with her own hands, his eyes turn ice cold. He gets up and heads to his usual room 12. Ignoring the couple making out inside, he grabs a water jug and smashes it hard against the wall. The wall shattered into fragments, scattering everywhere. He pulled out the passport hidden inside and cash from a stash spot. Before leaving, he drops some money as compensation. Then he drives off. Parker doesn't go after Zen. Instead, he heads to his late friend Phil's house. Most of the crew who died were just temporary partners. Phil was the only longtime friend he had. He tells Phil's wife about his death. She doesn't cry. She's always known this line of work ends only one way. Parker tells her Phil was the one who brought him into the crew, so he asks if she has any leads. After a long pause, she gives him one name, Reggie Riley. After hearing the name, Parker turns to leave. She calls out behind him.
You kill people, right?
Unnecessary, yes.
Kill her for me.
She asks him to kill the man responsible for her husband's death. Parker doesn't answer directly. The second he steps outside, Parker calls his old partner Paul. Paul quickly gives him Reggie's exact address. That night, Parker poses as a driver and waits quietly in the car for Reggie. The moment Reggie gets in, he senses something's off.
Who the fuck are you? Where's Jimmy?
Parker doesn't say a word.
Ah, fuck no! That's my mother's!
After the shot, Reggie panics and spills everything. That's when Parker notices a car riding their tail. Before they can react, a speeding car slams into them and forces them to stop. Sensing danger, Parker slumps over the wheel, playing unconscious. When Zen's hired gun steps out to check, Parker suddenly raises his weapon and drops him with a single shot. A firefight erupts instantly. Parker rolls out of the car and takes cover behind the rear bumper. Jimmy, still inside the car, isn't so lucky. He gets shredded by automatic fire and dies on the spot. In the chaos, Parker suddenly remembers he's still got someone locked up. Gunfire tells him it's bad. The man pulls a pistol from his pant leg and bursts out to join the fight. After the smoke clears, only one of Zen's men is still alive. Parker doesn't finish him. He just puts a round in his leg. The man screams and collapses. Parker drags him into the car and forces him to lead the way to Zen. Meanwhile, Zen has no idea danger is closing in. She's meeting a man named Bosco to discuss their next move. Bosco clearly doesn't fully trust her. He shares only part of the information, keeping the rest to himself. The tension in the room keeps rising. Just as the standoff peaks, Parker steps out of the shadows, his gun aimed steadily at them. He asks coldly,
Where's my money?
I spent it.
Bosco tries to calm things down. He reaches for his gun. Parker fires first, watching her partner bleed out on the floor. Zen completely loses control. She screams that Parker has ruined her entire plan. Just then, Bosco suddenly moves. The bullet grazes Zen's ear.
You killed him again?
Last time, I promise.
Fuck!
After a tense exchange, Parker finally learns the truth. Zen had already given the $500,000 to Bosco, hoping to leverage it into a much bigger score. Under pressure, Zen finally reveals her new plan. In the waters off her homeland, a sunken ship has just been brought to the surface. Inside the wreck lies treasure worth billions. But the president has no intention of using the money for his country or its people. He wants it all for himself. His plan is to label the treasure as national heritage and send it to the United Nations for a public exhibition. Once the world's media is focused on it, he'll secretly hire a crew to stage a robbery. On the surface, it will look like a sudden heist. In reality, it's a show he directed himself. Zen's idea is much simpler. If he wants to stage a robbery, beat him to it. Steal the treasure for real before he makes his move. Turn his fake robbery into a real disaster. Years ago, Parker was part of a crime syndicate known as the Organization. 3 years ago, he walked away from it. The boss, Ortiz, took it personally and put a hit out on him. That's one of the reasons Parker joins this job. He wants to settle that score once and for all. The next day, Parker and his old partner Paul show up at the meeting point. Zen introduces them to the man behind the operation, Colonel Fabrizio Ortiz. He lays out the plan. They will build an exact replica of the statue and swap it with the original. Parker thinks the whole thing is too complicated. He proposes his own plan. Hit the United Nations directly, eliminate the president's hired thieves, and pull a double cross. But there's a major problem. The only person who knew the full details, Bosco, is already dead. With no other option, Zen and Parker track down Bosco's boyfriend, hoping he knows something about the treasure. After some intimidation, the man finally talks. There's a blue doll in his bedroom. Inside it is a crucial clue. Parker rushes to Bosco's apartment to find it, but runs into one of the organization's men, Kincaid. The moment they see each other, a brutal fight breaks out. Kincaid is no match for Parker. After a fierce struggle, Kincaid is shoved off a balcony. He survives, but barely. Parker grabs the doll with the operation's roadmap hidden inside and heads downstairs. To make the job work, Parker assembles a new crew. Once everyone is gathered, he explains the plan in detail. From Bosco's intel, they learn the organization plans to transport the artifact on a garbage train. Parker's strategy is simple. Hijack the train. The errand couple pose as operators and push the train up to 70 miles per hour. Paul sabotages the tracks, sending the train off early at a designated spot. Then Carl drives in with a truck, and together they unload the artifact. But even the best plans don't go perfectly. After adjusting their approach, Parker returns to the hotel for a team gathering.
Good evening, Mr. Willis. Champagne?
Suddenly, men sent by the organization storm the room and capture him. Leading them is Jack, the man secretly in love with Zen. Jack plans to hand Parker over to the organization, cutting down one more person who would claim a share of the treasure. Time passes. When Parker opens his eyes again, he finds himself naked and chained in the snow. Jack tries to explain that the organization won't leave any loose ends. They plan to eliminate everyone. In the distance, the roar of an engine echoes. One of the men rushes off to check. Moments later, a scream cuts through the air.
Hey! It's getting late.
Panicking, Jack quickly unlocks Parker's cuffs. Meanwhile, Zen tracks Jack's phone and finds their location. At the same time, a shadow bursts out of the trees. Parker swings the cuffs and knocks him down. Jack looks at the man on the ground and immediately recognizes him as Organization Muscle.
You just saved my life. You're welcome.
Before long, the men sent by the organization are taken out. The next second, the assassin's phone starts ringing. Parker picks up. It's his former boss, Ortiz. Ortiz is still complaining about why his men haven't reported back.
Parker really there?
Yeah, he was.
Shit fire and little fishes. Parker!
When Ortiz hears that Parker has eliminated both hitmen, he isn't angry at all. Instead, he declares victory. He tells Parker he's already won. He moved the treasure out of the vault early and rescheduled the transport for tonight. Hearing this, Parker immediately calls Paul and tells him the timeline has been moved up. But what he doesn't expect is that every single team member is completely drunk. With no other option, Parker pushes forward and sticks to the original plan. Just as the operation reaches its critical point, it hits a snag. The mole inside the control center suddenly backs out. He refuses to open the door for Erin and her husband and even pulls a gun on his coworkers. A bold staff member seizes the opportunity and quietly opens the control room door while he's distracted.
Way to go, Supervisor! Thank you. Now please put your hands in the air.
Erin successfully accelerates the train. At the crucial moment, Paul sabotages the train's safety system. But things don't unfold as smoothly as they imagined. The train derails at high speed, yet it still isn't slow enough. It keeps charging straight ahead. Parker has no choice but to tell everyone to move toward the next curve for cover. Suddenly, the train veers off and hurtles straight toward Parker and Zen's car. Luckily, thanks to Zen's expert driving, they narrowly avoid disaster. At last, the train grinds to a stop. The crew eagerly opens the crate. Inside, there's no treasure, just a pile of rocks. Parker realizes they've been set up. Before they can retreat, organization hitmen close in. On top of that, the police arrive at the scene. To everyone's surprise, the person stepping out of the patrol car is Carl, the same man who was supposed to be driving the truck. Using the chaos as cover, the crew escapes the crash site. After the failed operation, the team gathers together, discouraged and silent. But Parker refuses to give up. He tells everyone to stay calm and proposes a new plan: target the buyers who want the treasure. Soon after, Parker and Paul arrive at Kincaid's residence. Dressed as police officers, they enter without resistance. Before Parker can even speak, Kincaid faints from fear. A woman nearby gives them the seller's name and current address.
It's all these dickheads ever talk about. It's that asshole billionaire, you know?
Meanwhile, a wealthy tycoon enjoys a fresh steak at a restaurant, unaware that danger is approaching. Before long, Parker arrives. He pulls out his gun and demands the statue. The tycoon nervously insists the statue isn't with him.
He's one of the most important people on the planet.
Oh, wow.
Parker presses the gun against the man's stomach. Desperate to survive, the tycoon reveals the treasure's location.
Even if you somehow blow the door off the vault, the lady's protected by a special security cage.
But that doesn't intimidate Parker in the slightest.
Greenbrook Private Vaults. Ironically, they have a website.
That night, Parker left a completely wasted Carl behind to guard the tycoon. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew kicked off a brand new operation. The plan was simple: stage a car accident to distract the vault guards. While the guards were distracted, Parker and Paul slipped inside and blew the vault door wide open. Meanwhile, the tycoon waited for Carl to pass out, cut himself loose, escaped, and tipped Ortiz off about Parker's plan. By the time Ortiz reached the vault, Parker and his crew had already loaded the treasure and were ready to roll. The two sides tore down the road in a full-blown chase. To shake their pursuers, Parker climbed out the window and pulled himself onto the roof of the trailer, carrying the statue. The snowy road was slick, one hard fishtail, and Parker was thrown straight off the truck. The next second, hitmen sent by Zen surrounded him from all sides. At the last moment, Zen showed up. She rammed one of the hitmen with her car, then opened fire and saved him. Meanwhile, as Paul tried to escape, the chain linking the cab to the trailer suddenly snapped. Just like that, the treasure slipped through their fingers again. To make sure nothing else went wrong, Ortiz immediately called the tycoon and demanded the deal happen right away.
I won't have the money till 7:30.
Then we'll expect it by 7:31.
After all the chaos, the tycoon finally got his hands on the statue, barely able to contain his excitement. But as he ran his hands over it, a diamond suddenly fell off. He carefully picked it up, ready to set it back in place. Then he flipped it over and saw the words Pepe Props engraved on the back. The statue was a fake.
Motherfucker!
When the president found out, he called Ortiz immediately, furious.
I'm gonna stop talking now. Why waste my breath on a dead man?
No, wait, it wasn't me.
Only then did Ortiz realize it had all been Parker's misdirection. The vault they blew open earlier was just a fake, staged with paint and templates. Meanwhile, the real statue was being quietly packed into a secure case by Parker, ready to be moved. Just as everything was about to wrap up,
It's incredible.
Millions of dollars worth of security, and you beat it with a stencil and a can of paint.
at the critical moment,
The outfit's out of money, isn't it? Without the Lady of Argentero, I think the outfit goes bankrupt.
Ortiz tried to negotiate, but Parker coldly told him it was too late. Meanwhile, Zen contacted the president's elite guard unit. The gunfire erupting outside made Ortiz finally realize this was all a carefully designed trap. With a thunderous blast, the statue was completely destroyed. Parker finally brought the once untouchable crime empire crashing down. All they could do was watch as the $20 billion statue turned to dust. After the mission, Parker decided to disband the team. Seeing everyone down, he pulled a diamond from his pocket, instantly lighting up the room.
Divvy it up evenly, all right?
Yeah, man, it's like a $2 million pot.
Send me a message.
After leaving the team, Parker returned to room 12 at his hotel. Zen had been waiting for him for a long time. The news was playing on TV, reporting that police had seized numerous cultural relics from the tycoon's home. They would be handed over to the state, bringing new hope to the nation. Zen threw her arms around Parker, telling him she loved him and thanking him for everything he had done. But Parker shook his head and turned her down. His next mission was not finished yet. Parker kept his promise to Phil's wife. After a single gunshot, he closed the door to room 12, putting an end to their past grudges. Afterward, Parker handed Phil's wife a large bag of diamonds. On Christmas Day, Parker and Paul showed up in Times Square, New York. As promised, They were already planning their next move.
In, motherfucker.